It's 4:56 p.m. on Memorial Day weekend. 1,800 people in the town of Parkersburg, Iowa, are about to experience something that hasn't happened in their state for 32 years. In the next 8 minutes, 1/3 of their town will cease to exist. 7 will die, despite taking shelter in basements. This is the story of May 25, 2008. The day an EF5 tornado, with winds exceeding 200 miles per hour, reminded Iowa why they called this part of America Tornado Alley. Our story begins not on May 25th, but a week earlier, May 18th, 2008. Meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, are staring at computer models showing something they've seen before, something they fear. A large-scale trough is predicted to move across the northern United States. Combined with moisture returned from the Gulf of Mexico, it's creating what forecasters call a classic plains severe weather setup. By May 20th, still 5 days before the tornado, the National Weather Service Des Moines Hazardous Weather Outlook identifies all modes of severe weather possible. The Storm Prediction Center notes a multiple-day threat for relatively widespread severe storms. But here's the thing about Memorial Day weekend in Iowa. It's the unofficial start of summer. Families are traveling. Kids are graduating. The last thing anyone's thinking about is taking shelter. May 22nd. The models are getting worse. Or better, depending on whether you're a storm chaser or a resident. Forecasters see an increasingly strong, negatively tilted trough, a configuration meteorologists associate with significant tornado outbreaks. May 23rd, Friday before the holiday weekend. The Storm Prediction Center mentions strong tornadoes possible, though they're focused on Wisconsin, not Iowa. Everyone's making plans for barbecues, graduation parties, family gatherings. Saturday, May 24th passes quietly. Too quietly. Then comes Sunday morning, May 25th, 2008. The morning dawns humid and warm, the first real summer-like afternoon of the spring season. It's beautiful. It's perfect. And that's exactly what worries meteorologist Carl Jungbluth at the National Weather Service in Des Moines. At 8 a.m., he sends out a text message about a noon conference call. This is unusual. It's a holiday weekend. The official risk is only slight. But Jungbluth knows something the public doesn't. This is what he calls a high-end slight risk. At 9 a.m., the National Weather Service Des Moines schedules an emergency conference call. More meteorologists than usual are called into the office on a Sunday, on Memorial Day weekend. At noon, 29 emergency managers dial into the conference call. Some are at family gatherings. Some are out of town. Some have no idea they're even on call today. The message is clear. Severe weather potential north of Highway 20 early, with storms expected across the entire area by evening. Now, let me explain what the atmosphere looked like that afternoon, because the numbers were extraordinary. By 5 p.m., the mixed layer CAPE, that's the energy available for storms, was between 2,800 and 3,000 joules per kilogram. To put that in perspective, anything over 2,500 is considered extreme. The storm relative helicity, that's spin in the atmosphere, was between 180 and 210 in the lowest kilometer. The critical angle on the hodograph was near 90 degrees, meaning streamwise vorticity was being fed directly into any storms that formed. The Science and Operations Officer would later say, "Rarely are all parameters so favorable for tornadic supercells." But there's something else, something invisible to the human eye, but visible on satellite. Gravity waves. At 10 a.m., a gravity wave forms near Hastings, Nebraska. It propagates eastward at 50 knots. A second gravity wave develops. Research suggests these waves enhance vertical vorticity stretching. Essentially, they help tornadoes form. At 3:30 p.m., Central Daylight Time, The Storm Prediction Center issues Tornado Watch number 363. But this isn't just any tornado watch. It's a PDS watch, a particularly dangerous situation. The most serious designation they have. Critically, many first responders don't even know it's a PDS watch. The communication gap that will later be addressed in service assessments. In the town of Parkersburg, high school senior John Simon is setting up for his graduation party at Matt's Bar and Grill on Highway 57. He's decorated the restaurant with nearly 400 trophies and awards from his football and wrestling career. Angie and Mark Reifenrath are in their brand new home, positioned at the highest point in town. The house is only months old. Herman and Shirley Luring, married for decades, are at home. Shirley, 71, is known for her elaborate birthday cakes. She once made a dragon-shaped cake with green frosting for her grandchildren. Ed Thomas, the legendary high school football coach, is with his wife Jan. In 37 years of coaching, he's compiled 292 wins and sent 4 players to the NFL. His motto, faith, family, football. None of them know that in less than 2 hours, their town will effectively cease to exist. A cluster of thunderstorms rapidly develops near Fort Dodge, Iowa, approximately 43 miles west of Waterloo. These aren't ordinary thunderstorms. They're developing within the axis of highest instability. After 4 p.m., something changes. The southern supercell in the cluster begins rotating as it moves into northeast Iowa. It's interacting with a north-south oriented warm front that's been sitting stationary near Parkersburg all day. Amateur radio operators activate the Skywarn net. These volunteer storm spotters will be crucial in the next hour. The first severe thunderstorm warning is issued for a storm near Iowa Falls. But then, between 4:37 and 4:41 p.m., something appears on radar that makes meteorologists' blood run cold. A descending reflectivity core, a blob-like area extending downward from the rear of the storm. Research has shown these are better tornado indicators than hook echoes. This appears 7 to 11 minutes before the first tornado report. The National Weather Service issues a tornado warning for northwestern Grundy, northeastern Hardin, Butler, and southeastern Franklin counties. This includes the towns of Applington and Parkersburg. 26 minutes. That's how much lid time the warning provides. 26 minutes that will save lives. Let me tell you about technology that helped save lives that day. The Des Moines radar had just been upgraded. High-resolution radar, what they call ORDA, was installed just 11 days before the tornado. At 55 nautical miles from the radar, it detects 93 knots of maximum gate-to-gate shear in the developing mesocyclone. The old radar would have shown only 57 knots, a 60% improvement in detection. A follow-up tornado warning. The tornado will be near Parkersburg by 5 p.m. CDT. Touchdown. 2 miles south of Applington, near the Butler-Grundy County line. Within 2 minutes, it's reported by 3 different sources: amateur radio, law enforcement, and independent spotters. The tornado is leaving distinct cycloidal marks in corn stubble as it rapidly grows. This is crucial. Parkersburg Fire Department doesn't wait for routine protocol. Based on visual confirmation from Applington spotters, not from the Weather Service warning, but from someone actually seeing the tornado, they sound the sirens. The town's new siren system had been installed just 4 days earlier, tested the day before. Its first real test is about to come. In the next 5 minutes, split-second decisions will determine who lives and who dies. At the Goodrich home, Diane and Virgil, he's the former school district superintendent, hear a knock. A woman with 2 young children is seeking shelter. Diane makes a choice. She wanted to come in, and of course, we took her in, down in the basement. They choose the southwest corner of the basement instead of the windowless bathroom. Remember this decision. At Matt's Bar and Grill, John Simon and approximately 30 people at his graduation party face a critical choice. The tornado is coming. Where do you go? John's brother Jordan panics and flees in a car, but has to stop. Debris is already filling the air. John recalls, within about 20 seconds, the sky went from gray to black, and it got really windy. The group splits. 16 people run to the car wash across the street. 14 go back inside Matt's to the walk-in cooler. At the luring home, Herman takes Shirley to their basement shower stall. He holds her arm. The Reifenraths huddle in their basement with their family dog, Belle. Ed Thomas and his wife, Jan, take shelter in their basement. Tyann Lester, manager at Pizza Ranch, has just finished her morning shift. Her 16-year-old son, Damien, is scheduled to work the afternoon. She has a feeling, what she calls a mother's intuition. Usually, anytime a tornado warning comes on, nobody thinks anything of it because it never does anything. But this day, it just didn't. It didn't feel right. Damien tells her, "I think it's going to be a slow night at Pizza Ranch, Mom." She reluctantly lets him go. 4:56 p.m., Central Daylight Time. The tornado enters the southwest corner of Parkersburg. It's 3/4 of a mile wide. It's moving at 36 miles per hour along Highway 57. And it's about to do something that hasn't been done in Iowa in 32 years. Reach EF5 intensity. Every survivor will tell you about the sound. Mark Reifenrath describes it. What they say about sounding like a jet engine, a train. I mean, yes, all of those things, but more and worse. The noise is beyond description. It's not just loud, it's physical. You feel it in your chest, in your bones. The first structure hit is a large industrial building being converted into a church. Well-constructed metal beam frames are twisted, sheared off at their bases, mangled into a pile, and pushed off the foundation. The engineering assessment will later confirm this is EF5 damage. The tornado moves through residential neighborhoods with catastrophic intensity. 17 homes will sustain EF5 damage, swept completely clean above their anchored floor platforms. Some homes bolted to foundations are swept away entirely. A rebar support set into one foundation is found snapped in half. Hardwood trees are completely debarked and denuded. Structural debris is finely granulated into fragments, quote, some no larger than coins. At Applington Parkersburg High School, located along the north edge of the damage path, the destruction is almost incomprehensible. The gymnasium and stage roofs are completely removed. Heavy steel trusses fall. 2 sections of the west wing collapse. But here's what shows the true power. 6 hollow, steel-reinforced concrete light poles, each 30 meters tall, are snapped at their bases and toppled. These are engineered to withstand hurricane-force winds. They leave impact marks in the ground. Fine debris accumulates 3 centimeters deep upwind of the fallen poles, evidence of extreme low-level inflow winds exceeding 200 miles per hour. A clock in the school stops at 4:56. It will later be preserved as a memorial. Downtown Parkersburg essentially ceases to exist. 21 businesses along Highway 14 and 57 are destroyed. Block after block of commercial buildings are leveled. New businesses that had brought hope to the community in recent years, all gone in seconds. At one of the banks, a surveillance camera captures something incredible. Footage of the tornado destroying the building as it passes directly overhead. The last frames show the ceiling being ripped away before the camera dies. Let me tell you what happens in the Goodrich basement. Remember, they chose the southwest corner instead of the bathroom. As the tornado passes, Diane recalls, the noise was just unbelievable. When they emerge, they discover their choice saved their lives. They were, quote, perfectly safe in that position. The only window intact in the basement was right above them, while the bathroom was a mess. At Matt's Bar and Grill, those who chose the walk-in cooler are experiencing something terrifying. A woman accidentally left a camera recording. The audio, later posted to YouTube, captures the building being torn apart around them. You can hear the structure failing, the wind, the debris. But all 30 people at the graduation party survive. The walk-in cooler is one of the few things left standing. The 16 who fled to the car wash also survive, though the car wash is filled with debris. In the luring basement, tragedy. Herman holds Shirley's arm in the shower stall as their home is destroyed above them. The house is swept away so completely that they're exposed to the full force of 205 mile-per-hour winds despite being underground. Shirley dies instantly. Herman survives with a broken neck, severe brain trauma, and multiple skull fractures. His 10-year-old granddaughter Katie will nurse him through recovery that summer, quote, with a lot of macaroni. At the Reifenrath home, Mark describes it. What they say about sounding like a jet engine, a train. I mean, yes, all of those things, but more and worse. It's something that I have never experienced again, and I pray I never will. In less than a minute, everything from the subfloor up is gone. The tornado exits Parkersburg at 5:04 p.m., 8 minutes. That's all it took. 8 minutes to destroy 288 homes. 8 minutes to level 22 businesses. 8 minutes to effectively erase 1/3 of a town that had existed since 1874. 7 people are dead in Parkersburg. Shirley Luring, Richard and Ethel Mulder, Ruth Knock, Charles Horan, Raymond Mayox, a Korean War veteran who raised twin daughters as a single father. But the tornado isn't done. 5:05 p.m., National Weather Service meteorologist Rod Donovan, positioned 1.5 miles south of New Hartford, takes a photograph. It will become the iconic image of this tornado, a massive wedge funnel, dark and debris-laden, grinding across the Iowa countryside between Parkersburg and New Hartford. 5:07 p.m., a satellite tornado is reported south of the main funnel. Storm chasers observe it, though radar doesn't detect it. 5:09 p.m., the tornado, still at EF5 intensity, strikes a housing subdivision 1 mile north of New Hartford. More than a dozen well-built homes are completely destroyed. Multiple homes are swept away with anchor bolts still in foundations. Vehicles are thrown long distances and mangled beyond recognition, some reduced to only metal frames. 2 people die here, Norman Buthine, 48, and Liasa Bleeker, 71. The tornado continues for another 49 minutes, weakening and re-intensifying, making erratic turns, at one point completing a full loop. It reaches its maximum width, 1.2 miles, north of Dunkerton. 5:58 p.m. After 70 minutes on the ground, after traveling 43 miles, after destroying everything in its path, the tornado finally dissipates southwest of Fairbank. 9 people are dead, 70 are injured. Damage will exceed $100 million. But here's what the residents of Parkersburg don't know yet. Their story isn't ending, it's just beginning. Chris Luring, Parkersburg's 29-year-old police chief, surveys his hometown. He will later say, "It was a complete annihilation of the typography, of the structures. Structures that had existed in Parkersburg for 50 or 80 or 100 years had disappeared." Marty and Larry Luring emerge from their destroyed farmhouse. Larry looks around at where their 125-year-old home stood, where their barn stood, where their chicken house stood. "Honey, we lost everything," he says. Marty's response will become legendary in Parkersburg. "No, we have each other." Herman Luring wakes up in the hospital. 4 vertebrae in his spine have been fused. He has severe brain trauma and multiple skull fractures. When he learns his wife Shirley is dead, he makes a decision that defines the spirit of this community. He will rebuild on the exact same spot. "People can't comprehend how I took it," he'll later say. "I felt it was part of life, and you had to go on. I knew it was all in God's hands." Within hours, volunteers begin arriving. College students from across Iowa, heavy machinery operators, power crews. The response is immediate and overwhelming. President George W. Bush, using an expedited waiver provision in federal code for catastrophic events, approves a federal disaster declaration within 24 hours. This speed is almost unprecedented. But the most important moment comes from an unexpected source. Ed Thomas, the football coach, walks through the rubble of his destroyed home to check on the school. When he sees the football field, he's devastated. "I came over and saw the football field, and it looked like a pincushion. All kinds of debris just stuck in it. I saw the bleachers down. I saw our scoreboard down." Less than 24 hours after losing his home, less than 24 hours after his life's work was destroyed, Ed Thomas makes a public pledge that seems impossible. "We are going to play our first football game on our home field here in Parkersburg." City Administrator Chris Luring explains what this meant. Thomas, less than 24 hours after our tornado, became very goal-oriented to say publicly that we are going to play our first football game on our home field here in Parkersburg, and that was literally an impossible goal. But when the community can get behind a goal like that, behind a leader like that, it really becomes a driving force, and it really kind of takes away your sadness, your hurt, and your loss. Ed Thomas tells his team, "Because of this tornado, you now have the opportunity to show the kind of character we're made of. You have an opportunity to impact a lot of lives and help a lot of people in this town." When the local cemetery asks for help, Ed makes a request that will become legendary. 6 football players volunteer to dig graves by hand for tornado victims. By hand. Think about that. Teenage boys, who should be worried about graduation and summer jobs, are digging graves for their neighbors. Ed tells them, "Parkersburg needs something that lets them know that the storm did not beat us and will not define who we are." June 1st, 2008, 6 days after the tornado, a simple 2-stall garage goes up in the devastated neighborhood. Chris Luring will later say, "It's just a 2-stall garage, but I love that garage to this day. That garage was hope. That garage was, I got to get my crap together because that guy is building a garage." The Reifenraths decide immediately to rebuild on the same foundation. Angie explains, "For us, we had just picked these things, so we wanted it back just the way it had been. It was very quick that we decided to put Humpty Dumpty back together and give it a second go." But they add something new, a storm shelter. The work on the football field becomes a community obsession. Students work sunrise to sunset without pay. Ed Thomas is there every morning, walking the field, yanking weeds, killing dandelions, personally laying sod. He calls it the sacred acre and the carpet. The 4 NFL players he coached, Brad Meester, Casey Wiegman, Aaron Campman, and Jared DeVries, return to help and inspire. Children from Greensburg, Kansas, which was hit by an EF5 tornado the year before, send their saved pennies to help. September 8, approximately 100 days after the tornado. Applington Parkersburg plays their first home game on Ed Thomas Field. Mark Reifenrath is in the stands. I remember crying when they ran out and I couldn't explain why. It was kind of an emotional release of the previous couple of months. The impossible goal has been achieved. August 2009. The rebuilt high school opens. It was designed and constructed in just 14 months. A remarkable achievement. It includes something the old school didn't have, a basement-level storm shelter. The senior class president speaks at the dedication. "We decided we would be a positive influence." Superintendent John Thompson will later call this his favorite year ever in over 30 years of education. Despite everything, or perhaps because of it, the community has come together in a way that seemed impossible. But just when it seems like healing can begin, tragedy strikes again. June 24th, 2009, just over a year after the tornado. Ed Thomas is in the high school weight room, supervising 20 players during summer training. Mark Becker, a former player suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, enters the weight room with a gun. Ed Thomas is shot and killed in front of his players. The man who became the symbol of Parkersburg's recovery, who showed them that storms cannot break the human spirit, is gone. But his lessons live on. The first football game after his death is televised nationally on ESPN. Ed Thomas is posthumously awarded the Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the 2010 ESPY Awards. His motto remains painted on the wall: faith, family, football. Today, 17 years later, if you drive through Parkersburg, Iowa, you might not even know a tornado hit, unless you know where to look. The trees are younger on the south side of town. Saplings planted after the tornado, now growing tall. The houses are newer, more modern. The east side looks like a suburban community that could be anywhere in America. But there are reminders. Atop the Parkersburg United Methodist Church, one of 3 metal crosses remains bent askew, damaged by 200-mile-per-hour winds and deliberately left that way. A memorial to what happened. A reminder of what was overcome. In the high school, that clock that stopped at 4:56 p.m. is preserved in a display case. Along Highway 57, if you look closely, telephone poles still slant toward the direction the tornado traveled. But here's the remarkable thing. Parkersburg didn't just rebuild. It grew. The population in 2008 was approximately 1,900. Today, it's over 2,000. In an era when small Iowa towns are dying, Parkersburg grew by 6%. The school district went from 775 students to 825 students. Property valuations rose from $54.5 million in 2009 to $132.5 million in 2018. City Administrator Chris Luring puts it simply: Parkersburg is known for construction, not destruction. Herman Luring, now in his 80s, still lives in the house he rebuilt on the spot where his wife Shirley died. He deals with daily pain from his injuries, but his faith remains strong. John Simon lost nearly 400 trophies in the tornado. His birth certificate was found in Sumner, 50 miles away, and mailed back to him. Today, he's an adult with his own family, teaching his children about resilience. The Reifenraths live in their rebuilt home with their storm shelter. They've learned to watch the sky a little more carefully. Angie says, "This year, I finally had a cardinal come to my bird feeder. It took a decade, but life has returned to normal." The Goodrich family, who saved that mother and 2 children by taking them into their basement, rebuilt a ranch-style home on a larger property. They credit their survival to a split-second decision about which corner of the basement to shelter in. Diane Goodrich reflects, "Scars sometimes can be emotional too. When a storm rolls in, we watch the sky maybe a little more than we did before." That's true for the whole town. They watch the skies more carefully now. They take warnings more seriously. They know what can happen in 8 minutes on a spring afternoon. But they also know something else. They know that an F5 tornado, the most powerful force nature can produce, hit their town with everything it had. And they're still here. May 25th, 2018, the 10-year anniversary. The community gathers to remember. Herman Luring is there. Chris Luring, now city administrator, speaks about resilience. The Simon family attends, the Reifenraths, the Goodriches, families of those who died, those who survived. They stand together in a town that shouldn't exist, in a community that was literally wiped off the map, in a place where 1/3 of everything disappeared in 8 minutes. And they remember Ed Thomas's words: "The storm did not beat us and will not define who we are." There's a stone bench at the new City Hall. It commemorates the 7 Parkersburg victims: Richard and Ethel Mulder, Shirley Luring, Ruth Knock, Charles Haran, Raymond Mayox, Bertha Eckhoff. But this isn't just a memorial to the dead. It's a testament to the living, to those who chose to rebuild rather than relocate, to those who saw devastation and chose hope, to those who faced the impossible and made it possible. The bent cross still stands atop the Methodist Church. They could fix it. It would be easy. But they choose to leave it bent because Parkersburg learned something on May 25th, 2008. They learned that some things break. Some things can't be fixed. Some losses can't be recovered. But they also learned that you can build something new on the foundation of what was lost. You can take the pieces of what's broken and create something stronger. That 2-stall garage that went up 6 days after the tornado, it's still there, just a garage. But Chris Luring was right. It was hope. It was the beginning. It was proof that even after an EF5 tornado, even after 8 minutes of hell, life goes on. The wind still blows through Parkersburg, Iowa. It always has. It always will. But now the people know something they didn't know before May 25th, 2008. They know they're stronger than the wind.